Do you find decision making challenging? And do you want to learn to be more decisive? There are so many different factors that make decision making difficult and why it is that we struggle to be more decisive and more assertive in general. In this episode, I'm going to break down the core practices that can support you to be more decisive so that you're no longer held back by this lack of commitment, indecisiveness, analysis, paralysis. What happens when you make a decision? Think about it for a moment. You're faced with a choice, option A and option B. Very often, if you're someone that's slightly indecisive, a lot of different things will happen in parallel. Either you have this more people pleaser lens and you'll be looking at which of these will please the other party. Now it can get a bit tricky because maybe option A pleases 3 people and maybe option B pleases another 3 people and maybe you don't even know which one you want. And then if you struggle more with people pleasing, then it can be very difficult to know because sometimes there is no obvious decision that will please one party more than another, let alone what you actually want to do. Now, on the other hand, if you struggle not with people pleasing but with fear of missing out, FOMO, you might automatically want to do the option that feels less like you'll regret not doing it. So you'll choose the event over maybe staying at home and not doing anything, or the course over not doing the course because you have that FOMO bias. If you're a more logical, rational way of thinking, you'll start to weigh all the pros and cons of option A and option B, and maybe they're kind of the same number on each side and none of them is weighed more than the other. Then what do you do? And all the tools out there that can help with decision making don't actually always work. The pro and con list, the rational sort of approach and logical to decision making when we're all emotional beings, let's face it, doesn't work. And all these biases we have, the people pleasing one, the FOMO one, there's so many other different biases that mean that when you have these two options, you will automatically go for maybe the one that pleases other people, or maybe the one that will make your boss happy, or maybe the one that will make your spouse happy, and you're not really looking at what is the most aligned and what is actually the most coherent for you because you're blocked in this old way of functioning. To become more decisive means to be willing to make decisions more effectively, more quickly, and without overthinking. So this means that when you have, I made an example with 2 options, but when you have 5 different options or more, you don't spend weeks or months overthinking it. What I realized with the people I've worked with and many different people that I've coached and trained, I've seen that very often this lack of decisiveness also leads to procrastination. It's too tricky to decide between option A, B, and C. Therefore, let me not do anything at all. And at some point, things will just take care of themselves. We've all experienced this and we all know it doesn't work out. You end up with the worst possible option and a lot of weight in your mind and on your shoulders and emotionally because you've procrastinated and postponed for so long that it's become a real burden. And then it's even harder to make the decision because by then you've thought it through and you've looked at all the different scenarios, and option A will upset these people and option B you feel isn't really aligned and option C is kind of expensive, and then it's a mess. How do you cut through all that inner noise? How do you stop all that overthinking so that you're able to be more decisive? Here's the best practice that I've seen. First of all, it comes from being quiet and fully present. The more overthinking and noise you have, the more you're discussing it, looking at options, the less you can think clearly. So find a way to ground yourself. Breath work, be in nature, meditation, go for a jog, something that really calms the mind so that you're able to be fully present. Then you're able to think a lot more clearly. That's the first thing. The second point is to be willing, and this is probably the hardest point, is to be willing to fail, willing for it to go wrong, because you have absolutely no way of knowing which is the best option until it's actually carried out. And this is the hard truth, and this is why we don't like making decisions. Because when you're faced with choosing between 3 different investors, or choosing between 2 different working projects, or choosing between different locations to live in, all these different things, you can't know if it's a good choice or not, or right decision or not, because you can't see the future unless you're clairvoyant. You can't see the future with the different options in mind, and so you're not able to know which is the best. So really, what decision making and being indecisive all comes down to is your relationship with uncertainty. How okay are you with not knowing what the outcome of that choice will be? And if you're okay with that, then suddenly making a decision isn't as hard. But if you don't like the uncertainty and you're uncomfortable with it, you procrastinate it, you're indecisive, you ask someone else to make a decision for you, you don't choose at all, you just focus on letting other things and circumstances navigate how things go along because you're not willing to make that choice. So I was saying the first part is be fully present, and the second part is be willing to fail, be willing for it to go wrong. You approach this not from a what's the perfect solution, what's the perfect answer, what's the best option in all possible worlds. You approach this as what's the best I can now choose with the cards I have in hand, with what I know already, with what feels aligned with both your intuition and your logic. Use that, all while knowing it might not be the right choice. But if you're willing to accept this, if you're willing to confront and admit, I don't know everything, I'm not a magician or a genius, I can't see how things will pan out, this is just what feels right, or what is the most logical next move, or what is most aligned right now, and therefore I will just follow through with it and see how it goes and learn from that. If you're willing to do that, suddenly you will see the option. Because very often you know exactly what you want to do, or what feels aligned, or what's the best choice is for you right now with the information you have. Very often you know, but what's clouding the vision is the uncertainty. But what if it'll upset another person? What if I'm missing out, the FOMO thing? What if there's huge ripple effect of that? What if, etc. All these what ifs and all these uncertain thoughts and all this overthinking clouds your judgment completely, and so you're not able to move forward and you're not able to make that decision. And that's why in a coaching session, very often I've coached people that are struggling with decisions. Within 5 minutes, guaranteed, like watch in hand, 5 minutes, they've made a decision. Because they knew it all along. All I had to do is calm them down, see more clearly, be in that mindset of there's no right and wrong answers, just what is most aligned right now, what your intuition is telling you, what's the next sort of more logical approach. I say the logical approach because some people like to think it's their logic. It's still very often intuitively driven, and it's still very often an emotional connection, but many people like to think it's a more logical approach. So if you like to frame it that way, that's fine, you could do that. Very often it's just a gut feeling of what feels right, based on past experiences, on your knowledge, on the peer group and circumstances, environment you're in, all the different factors come into play, and then you're able to think, okay, this is kind of the next move, I think. Fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. And another aspect that can help you moving forward in general with being decisive is having this experimental mindset. Look guys, I've really struggled with this a ton. I'm someone who likes to do something, get a result, and then just do something else. I don't particularly enjoy doing something and then doing it again and then doing it again and then slightly changing this word or doing it slightly better. But the truth is, in business and in life, this is what works. Having an experimental mindset allows you to screw up the first time. You do that first LinkedIn post or Instagram post or YouTube video. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect after 400 either, but it'll probably be better than the first one. And so then you have a more light touch, like, let me just give this a go, see what happens, what do I learn from it, next one. And then you tweak, and then you improve, and then you shift it a bit, and then you're able to play with things, and then gradually you will improve, and it'll make it so much easier to make decisions also in business. Like, you learn, maybe you fire someone and you shouldn't have fired them, or it wasn't a good fit. You learn for next time, okay, how do I triple check? How do I make sure? Maybe you hire someone and that wasn't a right fit. How would you double check? I've worked with partners in my business where I spent a lot of money and they delivered zero results. I learned. Most of the partners I work with right now are partners based on results. They get paid if the results come in, because I'm no longer willing to pay up front, because I've had that in the past and it didn't work out. See, you learned. Was that the best decision at the time? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe if I hadn't done it, I would have learned that lesson later on at an even greater cost, right? You don't know. So it's very hard to know retrospectively anyway, was it a right decision or not? because you learn from all your failures and mistakes. All you can do on the moment is do the best you can. What feels most aligned? Intuitively, is it a hell yes or a hell no? And just channel that and don't overthink all the self-doubt. When it comes to the people-pleasing thing, because I know that when it comes to making decisions, our decisions impact other people. Whether it's team members or colleagues or friends or people in our lives or environment, our decisions do impact other people. And so when that happens, that can also really cloud your judgment because you're afraid of the consequences for other people. Again, step back, presence, calm mind, willing for things to go wrong, and first be clear with yourself what you want to choose. That's the first part. Then you can ask yourself, okay, how will I break the news to people? Or I know this might upset other people. And then you work on boundary setting, being assertive, standing your ground. And yeah, these things are hard. It's not going to be necessarily easy to discuss a certain option or choice with a person who wants something else, right? Obviously, there's going to be challenges, but be willing up front to step up and stand up for what's important for you, because that will make you stronger, but it'll also make other people respect you deeply and further. And this also means you can stand your ground and be more assertive in the future, and people get used to it. And there's just a lot of benefits. And the other thing for being a bit more assertive and standing your ground a bit more, if you struggle with people pleasing, is that then when you do say yes to someone, they know it's a real yes and you mean it. And you're not just saying it to people please them. They believe and trust you. Oh, okay, you genuinely want to help. Oh, you genuinely care about this project. You're not just saying it to sort of please me. So the more you say no, if you could say no with an assertive way and a calm way, the more people will believe your yeses. If you say yes all the time, people don't believe or trust your yeses as much. It's a super important point, especially if you struggle more with the people-pleasing side. Obviously, still be respectful, still be kind. That's also something I've seen is when people struggle with people-pleasing at first, when they're putting their boundaries or saying no, it's a bit aggressive and a bit defensive because it costs them so much to do it. Be chill, be cool, just no, I won't join, or no, this won't work out for me, or I've actually chosen this other project. Calm, composed, and things and move on, right? So to come back to being decisive, it's a habit, you can build it, and it all comes down to having self-trust and trusting your own voice and your own intuition, and also with accepting uncertainty. So number one, calm everything down, become really present so you can think clearly and not be distracted by internal or external noise. That otherwise you can't make a really big or important decision that's effective. Then accept uncertainty, accept there's no perfect answer and you can't know for sure ever. And therefore, just from a gut feeling, intuition, logical, all aspects put together, what does feel like the best, most aligned choice? And then follow through on that and have this experimental mindset. A last little tip here that I've used a lot with my clients is when you're weighing different options, just visualize yourself going down those paths and see which ones feels heavy and which feel light. What just makes you constrict and what makes you relax and expand. And generally, if you choose the relax, expansion choice, you feel more aligned, you feel happier, and it feels right. Now, it still might not have the best consequences, that depends, right? But at least you know you did the best you could. I once heard in a podcast episode that a good decision or a great decision is one that felt great as you took it, not one that had great consequences, because you can't know the great consequences. So therefore, all you can do is in the now, in the moment, what feels great, what feels like a hell yes. And if it feels great, that's the right choice to make, regardless of the consequences, because you can't fully anticipate all the consequences anyway, right? You can measure some potential ones, but it's often hard to see the full spectrum of consequences when you make the decision initially. So I hope this has been useful for you. I've struggled a lot with decision making, being decisive, and it is something that once you start to do regularly, it's like a muscle. You get much better at it, and it does help you in your life. And it's less clutter, less procrastination, less noise, less overwhelm when you're able to be decisive. If you're new to the show, my name is Stoddart. I work as a high performance coach for entrepreneurs and founders and leaders. mostly who struggle with ADHD. If you're interested in being coached, please fill in the form below. I work with a selected group of individuals and entrepreneurs to support them to thrive in their business and in their personal life. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Leave a comment, ideas and thought. What helps you to make better decisions, or what helps you to be more decisive? I'd love to hear from you. I answer every comment myself and I always enjoy reading them. So thank you once more for tuning in, and see you in the next episode.